put the Humboldt Axe logo on there, just in the middle, you know. So I'm trying to represent the name here. So welcome to the Humboldt Axe YouTube channel. I'm Doc, and this time I'm going to show you how I make the Humboldt Axe Springboard Display. I'm currently in the middle of an axe build. I've partnered with the Not Forgotten Foundation, and we're dedicating an axe build to all our military veterans and active duty service members. And so while I've been building that axe, I've also done a display. So what I thought I'd do is show you that piece of it and show you the process that I go and make these springboard displays. Also, the axe build and full video on our veterans is going to be coming out after this one, and just in time for Veterans Day. It's a really special one, and my brother JD runs the Not Forgotten Foundation, and we've been partnering together to do something really special for our military veterans. So with that, stay tuned, hang with me, and let's get to it. Figured I'd bring you in on how I make my displays. Oop. Oop. Basically, it's just a 2x6 piece of redwood, mostly sapwood, and then I cut these so the axe can. There's a little bit of a taper right here, so the head will be on this end, and it'll lay down, so there's a little bit of a taper, and then here's where the handle goes. It's just shaped out of redwood, but I fire burn them. Make sure you can see it. Let me move out. Oop, there we go. I char them up good. And then I'll take a wire brush and scrape it all, and it raises that grain up. I don't know if you see me, I usually burn it pretty good. And once I put a wire brush to it, it scrapes all that char away, and man, it looks cool. So you know you're getting there when it starts to charcoal like this over here. It'll start to look like charcoal. And it's breaking all that stuff up, so when you wire brush it, the grain really sticks out. If you look at the background of my shed, I'll show you later, but this is how I did it. It's just plywood. I burnt that plywood, and then I used blue and green stain, and that's how I got that kind of that camo blue and green look. It looks cool. But this is how I did it right here. You start to look at it, let me show you here. In case you're wondering, I get it glowing. See how it's glowing down there? Ooh, hot for the camera. But I'll get that stuff glowing, and it'll burn down, and it'll burn the softwood out. So, in case you're wondering how I do this, whoop. Without catching anything on fire. There we go. But you want to do it so it glows, and it'll burn down that softwood, and it leaves a hard grain of the actual grain. It'll make it rise up. There we go. And it really looks cool if you want to try this as a display, or it's a really good technique. is a properly charred piece of wood. So now I'll get the wire brush and scrape it all off. I don't do as much on the bottom end because that's what sits down, but I do enough to color it. So let that cool off. Did these pieces as well. And cool. Let them cool off. Okay. All right, let me show you how I do this. Wire brush. Yeah, I put this on because it gets nasty. So when you go to all that char comes off of there, and it raises up the grain and really looks cool. It's important you do this with the grain too, because the needles actually will dig into the wood and it creates a lot of texture. Of course, this is just the way I do it anyway. Kind of see what it's doing. I'll do some more, but it goes down into the light of that wood. So when I put the dye, I'm going to do this one red. This will all be red and black, and it'll be nice and lifted. And I'll put a bunch of poly over it. Man, it looks cool. So I'll finish scraping this and I'll bring it back in. It's about good. There you go. Raise that grain up, makes it black. And it's a really important step to get I use an air compressor and I'll blow out everything. You don't want any char on this whatsoever if you can help it. Because when you go to put the dye on there, it mixes up the black charcoal and it'll turn the whole thing black. So that's a lesson I learned. So I'm going to finish this up, the other two pieces. Let it dry real good, blow it off. Put my red dye on it. So that's how you do it. That thing looks cool, especially when I go to poly it when it's done. Really, it comes out nice. Okay, I go something like this, that, but I need to go get it blown off and then I'll get it dyed. So let's take it over to my compressor. Okay. Let's see. It's really important to blow this off. If you don't, all the charcoal particles in here mix with the dye and it'll turn the whole thing dark. So I learned the hard way. Look at that. It really makes it pretty unique, especially when I go to color it. So let's go get some dye on it. Okay. Curious the dye I use. It's this right here, Empire Red, and I actually put some yellow in it as well too. So. Stuff is nasty, man. My brush. Let's see. There it is. Jelly brush I can find. Anyway, let's see how this goes here. I just douse it. I don't really like to spread it around too much. because I don't want to spread the char. I blew most of it out, but this stuff soaks right in too, because it's a water-based dye. And every one I do comes out different, so it's going to be what it's going to be. I use the same technique for building axes and making these displays, because every one comes out unique. You can see it soak right into that wood too, but makes it cool. I mean, it is a piece of redwood. And this wood dye works so much better than stain, because it soaks down into the wood and you can still see all the grain of the wood, which is cool. So stain tends to stay up on the surface. Although I've used stain before for an initial coat, and then I'll sand it back a little bit and then put dye over it just to give it some depth and some layers. That looks pretty cool too. But mainly I just use the wood dye. Okay, do the sides. And once it soaks in, it goes way down into the wood, and it'll lighten up just a little bit, not much. That's why you want to scrape away. You can scrape off, I mean, it depends on what kind of look you're going for. I kind of wanted a dark red, so I didn't scrape with the wire brush too terribly deep, but you can keep going and really expose the lighter side of the wood. I didn't do that on this one. Just enough. Okay. That's the stuff. Flip it over. And sometimes I've done these where the bottom end actually looks better than the top end, and I've flipped them, so I didn't burn this side quite as much. I try to leave the bottom flat because it's going to be sitting on a mantel or a shelf or something, you know, inevitably. So, but you can flip them over. That's it. Let that dry. That's going to be cool. All right, I'm going to finish these up and call it. Okay, I'll let this dry. You can see it. It's pretty wet, but let it sit up overnight. Make sure it's nice and dry. It's kind of soaked right now. I'll put it inside by the fire, and once I put the polyurethane on there, you can really see the depth of the wood. So, all right, these are ready for poly. Got to get back to the handle now. Cool. All right, let's get the detail work done. First thing I'm going to do is cut out my Humboldt Axe oval for my display. I got a new scroll saw. Goes on the display. So I'm going to finish that up and get the detail work done on this thing. There you go. Get that thing cleaned up, burnt, dyed blue. Here's the display. It's got a fresh coat of poly on it. I usually put about 4 coats or so, and then I'll put this on there. This will go right in the middle, just so you know, it's Humboldt Axe. Okay, this is it. I did the display. I kind of showed you the process, but I went, you know, it's dark red. I did the burn trick on it, and I put the Humboldt Axe logo on there, just in the middle, you know, because I'm trying to represent the name here. So well, thank you so much for watching. My family and I greatly appreciate it. You know, every single axe that I do is special, especially for the individuals that I make them for. And in this particular case, I'm partnering with the Not Forgotten Foundation on this current axe build, which you got a sneak peek of that axe at the end of this video. Just to recognize all our military veterans and all our active duty servicemen and women and all of those deployed overseas. This one's very special. So the display is really important as well. I put all my effort in building these displays because they wind up in very special hands in very special places for very special reasons. So I want to at least bring you through the process on how I make those displays. And also, we're getting really close here. Look at that. My family and I have been trying to be very meticulous on designing our clothes, the Humboldt Axe clothes line, and we'll be making that available on our store. We want to launch it, but we want to make sure it's good and it represents the name. And of course, we're proud to be part of the Humboldt community too. So be sure to look for that. And this axe build will be, I'll put the axe video in preparation for Veterans Day next week. So stay tuned on that. I'll take you through the entire Not Forgotten axe build. And so with that, just remember, celebrate others, respect yourself, because love is powerful, man. I'll see you on the next one.